So we get started, I call the meeting to order. Okay, is that what I say?
Nailed it.
I'm learning it, okay.
Nailed it.
And the first item would be to review or approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting, January 20th. If you've had a chance to look those over, and do I have a motion to approve the minutes from last time?
Need a motion in a second.
I motion to approve the
We
minutes
have a
from last.
motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay. And do I vote on that?
Yes.
So I call to, do I take vote to approve the minutes from last time?
Aye.
Perfect. Okay. And a lot of what the next part of the agenda is Bryce. So we're going to turn the time over to Bryce to kind of give us some updates on the agenda's items 2 and 3.
Well, y'all, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming in on Wednesday off of our normal schedule. I've got a couple of big ones today. We've got construction, we've got a city reorganization, we have it's budget season, and so we are in the thick of building out like what the next 15 months look like for us. So I've got a couple of these. I'll try to go in order that we have here. But first off, we had a city reorganization. Our city manager, Brent Bybee, rolled this out about a month and a half, a month ago. So it's still relatively new for all of us, and we're all working through it. This is not just affecting library, significant changes with our public works team, our civic engagement team, a couple of teams, but there are also some big things that are affecting us here at the library. So I want to walk you all through those today. I can sort of share what we do know about it and what we can anticipate, and then I would love y'all's feedback, thoughts, direction, as we're going through this. So number one, I wanted to emphasize that we have had a series of, across the city, Bren has been our city manager now for 3 or 4 years, several years, and a lot of that is focused on efficiency and sustainability. Do we have the right people in the right layers or places to best support our residents? One of those principles is keeping our city dollars as close to the resident as possible. And I love that. I having worked for a few organizations, if it is easy to understand the city's, or the residents' investment in the city staff because you can see them, you're interacting with them, that usually to me is a sign that it's simple and we don't have a lot of layers. And so this, I really truly feel, is a nice extension of that. Several things that we have done over the last few years, and obviously our city manager before this is not unique, but we've done several things here at the library specifically. In 2021, before I had started, there had been a focus on helping transition part-time benefited to full-time positions. We now have part-time positions and full-time positions, but there used to be a part-time benefited. And I don't want to overspeak, but it was a really unique position to have a fully benefited position and a part-time where the city was, it's hard to interact when you're only here, it's a second job, and so they made a decision to say, hey, we either want part-time and really good flexibility for the employee and for the city, or we want an investment of full-time, and so that was something that happened. Right when I started, we used to have assistant librarians, which were lower paid entry level, and it was one of the lowest full-time positions in the county for a librarian. And what was happening was, once they got here, there was a lot of ambiguity of, are you working as an assistant or as an associate, which is sort of the next layer up. And so we reassigned several assistants to associates, which resulted in several pay increases for them because of the work that they were already doing. We added a third division manager when I started here. We still have that right now. We had other full-time positions, especially as we went assistant to associate, that were no longer needed. We did not remove anyone from an existing position, but through natural attrition over a few years of people moving or going back to school or taking a different position or getting promoted, we took some of those dollars and applied them to especially those that are on the desks or those that were in a task-based environment, because the demand of the job was maybe better met by part-time staff. One example was like in our collection maintenance team. They would come in, and it is difficult to do 9 hours of physical cutting, gluing, taping, building books, and maybe that was better met by staff that could come in for 3 to 4 hours, work on that, and then leave. That's just maybe a more appropriate time. And so we were able to move some of those dollars there that they could go a little bit farther and go from there. We built a part-time leadership promotion pipeline. Originally, we had a lot of part-time entry-level staff, and then if they wanted to grow in the library community, they would have to leave our organization and go somewhere else because we didn't have a leadership position. We were able to add budget in, and that way they could go from maybe an $11 to a $15 or $18 position, maybe something that would be paying well enough to stay with us through college or through your education, so that when we were ready to promote, we have really top shelf, long-term relationships with part-time staff. And several of our recent full-times, I'm trying to think right now, Angie and Sabrina, who was our last? Several of our newest hires have been part-time to full-time as they are able to commit or return to the workforce or finish with their education. And to me, that is just such a huge add. What a wonderful experience. And then we have changed from the librarian position. We used to have 5, we have now gone up to 8 of those. These are our most specialized, typically our master degreed employees, and I would say the subject matter experts, the stars of the library. No offense to our administrators, but we're a little boring. Our stars are the librarians. These are the people that get it done, and when you think of your local librarian, you think of Matt in Makerspace, you think of Meg who's doing programming, you think of James running media. These are the people that get it done. And so our goal was to say, this is the money closer to the resident, this is the people we want to associate with their library experience. Each of these have been done without any budget increases to the general fund. And so building a totality, an entire environment where we can accomplish that, I think is really healthy. This represents a consistent investment from our city council members, no decreases or changes, or as we find efficiencies, it doesn't, that money doesn't leave and go to support a different department or go somewhere else. It encourages our staff to say, hey, if you're really efficient or if you find new ways of doing things, we can then grow other programs, or we can increase our collections. We can incentivize our staff to say, we want to run a really lean and mean library because we get to do cool things. So all of that is a part of, in my personal opinion, some of the changes that Bren has rolled out for us today, or rolled out for us a few weeks ago that affects us and is adding a dedicated library director position into our organization. So my position, again, is mostly the same, but is transitioning title to the Executive Director of Community Services. So our Parks and Recreation team used to be, Parks was a division of Public Works, and Recreation was its own department. Those are now merging to a Parks and Rec department. And that is very complicated and wonderful. It is so good. This is going to be the best possible news for those that use our trails and our sports fields, but it requires a lot of work. And so that is one of our major changes. And because of that, adding a library director, I think will help balance my role to say we'll have a Parks and Rec director and a library director. We'll bring those 2 teams plus our relatively new 2-year-old events team into community services. So we're able to do this with the exception, sort of the library director. There's no new positions on Parks and Rec. I'm not like, it's not a new promotion, or again, we're not moving money further away from the residents. It's just organizing what we do, and we're adding this library director position in. This is even on our, 85-inch TV, these are still very tiny boxes.
I can read that.
But we can make sure that we do have a 1-page, and it's vertically cropped, and so I can have Sharon send that out if you'd like to see it. It's a little boring, but essentially, we will have a library director. This position posted on Thursday. We are receiving applications. I'll get into that in a minute. We have a library director, and that position will oversee 2 library divisions, our Patron Experience Division and our Collection Services Division. Those divisions right now are currently led by Jaime and Patron Experience, and Shannon, who couldn't be here tonight, had to be home, who's leading our Collection Services team. These, in my opinion, are the core library functions, the most traditional library functions, and as we prepared for a smooth transition, I thought it was in the best interest of the library to keep a laser focus on those core services for what this library director would oversee, at least initially, so that we could do our best job of getting the right candidate to help lead the library. So under those teams, we have several librarians, senior librarians, associate librarians. This is everyone who's at the desk. This is everyone who is in the back of house doing our cataloging and collection maintenance and circ in, circ out. These are the teams that are moving the books, very traditional library work. Mike, 3rd Division Manager, and his team will continue to be in the library department, But Mike and his team will direct report to me, I think because of some of the unique functions of Library Hall and how that can be different. If we are trying to find a library director that knows some art and ticketing and art gallery and core services, maybe we end up with more of a generalist, and I think we're looking to get a library director with more traditional library directorship experience. And so that's where we'll have Mike and his team, still a member of the library department. It is still Library Hall. The Library Hall belongs to the library. We support one team, one goal, one mindset, but Mike and his team will report directly to me here. Sharon, our executive assistant, the most important person on this entire org chart. Again, no offense to my administrators, but y'all know. Yeah. She will be a direct report as well. She's in the library. She'll office out of the library, but she will actually be the executive assistant of community services. I don't think it means anything different. The library needs Sharon, and Sharon has been here and is very good at what she does, so we'll have that and go from there. Some other quick things. So Kenise is our events manager. Tyler Pay has been our Assistant Director of Public Works over one of his divisions was Parks. He is now our new Parks and Recreation Director. He'll oversee Mariah Shirley, who runs our rec center, Debbie Boone, who runs all of our sports programs, Jim Orr, who is our park superintendent, so they will report through him. And that's our new community services team, our library director, and our Parks and Recreation Director. And Gina. Gina, let the record show I did not mention Gina. She will let me have it. So, Gina runs our senior center as well. She will be a direct report of Mr. Pay as well.
Is that new library position be part of this committee?
Absolutely, yep.
And will you continue to be part of this committee?
I would love to, but I also, so one of my next immediate jobs is how do I carve out space and let a library director be a library director and have some autonomy and install their vision and feel like they have some definite connection to y'all and ownership, and also how do I fulfill my role and connect library and library hall and parks and recreation and events and all of that. So my guess is yes, I will be here a lot. I think the official staff liaison will be the library director, but I imagine I am at all or most of these meetings as we see that it supports them. I will still office out of the library. The library director office is up in that admin hall. I assume the library director will take that. But with some of our rearrangements, we found an old office and that I will happily move into. So we'll go. You'll find me at the back. Yeah. The custodians and I will be there, and we'll slop sync together. So
Harry Potter of you.
yes. Let's see. There we go. So a couple of other things, and then I'd be happy to open it up. Hiring process, it's an open. We're hiring it for about a month, but it's also not closing. But I think our first review will be in just over 3 weeks. So it'll have been open for 4 weeks. We've already had many candidates apply, several current library directors from other places. I've had a couple of conversations with internal staff as well. So I'm already very confident that we will have a robust pool of applicants, which is always a good thing. Like I mentioned, the ideal candidate, my hope is that we find a candidate that is still very interested in the vision of an experienced library, of a library as a service, as a library as a physical space, a third space, someone that would fit well. I know our division managers have really run with this vision and have installed it with their staffs. I know I don't plan to change my vision of the library, and so finding a candidate that would work well with them and with me of that vision, I think will be really paramount. We obviously care deeply about core services and traditional librarianship, but I think finding somebody that matches the vision that we have will be really important. I would love someone that understands deeply Orem, Utah. I think there are great national candidates, and I would definitely say this is a national recruitment, but I love our community, and as someone who has lived here in the Valley for 16 years, or 20 of the last 22 years, I think it's really important that we find someone that understands us and our library and how our public library sort of interacts with the city and interacts with the residents. Not that we're special, we're not like the only library that's ever done a greenhouse or story time or has an auditorium attached, but I do think there is some things that make us unique, and so finding somebody that understands that I think will be really important. And then I mentioned this at the strategic plans, but someone that can run faster than our staff. Right now, no pressure. Third time's a charm. Third warning to our admin team today. But at our strategic plans that you'll get to hear from our leadership team on later, we have some really cool things coming down the pipeline and staff that I think have caught the vision and are on fire. And so they will need somebody that is willing to have a bias towards action and taking chances and doing things and getting out there and failing occasionally. But we need somebody that I think will be excited about that challenge and not someone who wants to slow us down to analysis paralysis or slow down to, let's create subcommittees that go up to their subcommittees and slows down and it's hard to get anything done. And so I really want somebody that is feeling loose and fast and creative and willing to have fun with it. So that's some of the things we'll be looking for in our ideal candidate. Like I mentioned, library hall, same department, one team, just a different direct reporting structure. I mentioned Sharon, Bryce's location. I also think there continues to be some really exciting ways for our different portions of the community services team to work together. We have the 3 lending libraries going into parks later this month. We have several makerspace programs happening at Hillcrest. We had our library right dead center of Orem Fest last year with the butterfly exhibit. I want to multiply those efforts, and so I get really excited about demarcating where one department ends and another begins. It gets confusing. We got to figure out budgets, yada, yada, yada. But I think we've got a team that has really embraced that as well. And so rather than worrying about which department is supposed to be doing which services, I think we'll say where are the people and what do they need and how do we get a diverse team there to support them. And then, adding value to the resident, someone who is ahead of that. So that is our big reorg. It is happening now. I would love thoughts, feedbacks, concerns, ideas, things we should take into the hiring process, anything like that. Proceed.
Sorry if you mentioned this already, but is this just posted on the city website, or do we have it on like some other sites as well? If I want to share it, I happen to have a lot of librarians in my network. Right?
Please do. It is on this. The only place that they can apply is the city's website. It has been cross-posted. As of yesterday, I saw the Utah Library Association posted it, emailed it out to its group. We posted a couple other places. We're choosing not to post it on ALA. It's so expensive. It's like $800 or something. So if maybe after a few weeks we're not getting a breadth of candidates that we're comfortable with, maybe we'll pay for an additional posting fee. But for right now, we have it statewide and a couple other places within the library world.
I like the idea of someone local. I'll say that, someone that has been here and loves Orem Library.
Thank you. Yeah, I absolutely. And I think we'll find ways to build our interview process and question process to, again, not that we're not going to check their pioneer heritage or something.
Right.
Unless you have been here since 1918, we're not, 1919, we're not interested. But I agree. I think that would be fun to they know us and understand us. So. Or are very willing to learn and understand very quickly. All right.
I have to say contrarily, bringing in new ideas from somewhere else is always interesting too. And so, just find the right person, regardless of where they're from.
Love it. Thank you.
Okay, awesome.
We have a couple of opportunities. I talked to HR about this because we are an advisory commission and not a board, and there are several places where it's not appropriate to have an advisory commission on the hiring process. There are a couple of places that are appropriate though. And so as I work through those details with them, an invitation will go out, maybe to the entire group, maybe to our chair to participate in that. And so I have broached it and they were on board with it. And so depending on if that's something you'd like to take on or an assignment or we have a chance, I know as it's a director position, and so often it will end with maybe a group format or something like that at the end, or a chance to submit a proposal, and we'd love to involve y'all where it's appropriate for our human resources, where they were comfortable doing that. So I'll report back and go from there.
Okay.
So for your ideal, Bryce, like as you're trying to like get all of this organized, when would you like to see someone in place and starting to onboard into this position?
Yeah, I think, great question. Should have mentioned that at the beginning. So our hope is if we're open for another 3 weeks, I would guess 6 to 8 weeks for the hiring process. The city does not hire a lot of directors. It's not common. I was the most recent 5 years ago, and then we're currently hiring an economic development director as well right now, and that will be a multi-tiered process. It's a video interview, it's a physical interview, it's a Q&A type thing. And so my guess is you would see at least 2 or 3 rounds of that and go from there. If it's an internal, after that. If it's an external, again, being a director position, typically it's longer than 2 weeks. So I think we're hoping for, the summer reading kickoff. Welcome to the show, baby. Just toss them right in and see what happens.
Love it.
So yeah, hopefully May or June.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything else? Any other questions? Thanks for that information. It was a lot of information. Okay, and do we have budget updates is the next?
If you liked a lot of information on the last slide, you're gonna love this slide. Okay, so thank you for the segue. We are thick in the middle of budget season. So the city runs on a July 1st budget year. We start in our subcommittees back in January. We have now finished our initial submittals to the budget committees, who then take all the information from all the departments. They try to put together a tentative budget, and we get it to our city council work sessions by April. And so the goal is in April, Councilmember Meekum and our other 6 elected officials will start to go through those, review them in work sessions, give us their recommendations and changes, and then we have a tentative budget to adopt by June, ready for July 1st. So that's our loose timeline. I wanted to go over a couple of things and receive feedback here from y'all. First off, city big picture. City Manager Brent Bybee, one of his big positions is we always start with existing staff and existing city services at the beginning of every budget. You protect those, you build that, and so that is where we have started. And I think I have all great news to report. I don't know of any significant major cuts to services or existing staff that are being reported. Generally, the state of the city is strong. We had some budget amendments that were presented to the council last night that communicate that as well. So generally, good news on the city big picture. Sales tax, the city outlook, things that can really shake up an Orem city budget. We are a city that is sales tax strong. We have not, property tax has not changed in the city for the city's portion in a decade. Sales tax has changed, that's great news. So there's a lot of steadiness in the city's budget. If maybe y'all have lived previously in a upstart city, a Saratoga Springs or something like that, year to year it can be wild because it's like, oh, we added 17,000 residents this year. Or we incorporated another 25 square miles. Orem is an established 100-year plus community, so things are pretty steady, which typically is good news. Zeroing in on the library budget priorities, our admin team here has done an incredible job. The state of our library budget this year is very strong. We are ahead of budget, not significantly, but very healthily. It is just really good. A lot of the projections we made on the new staffing efficiencies with the hub and the book sorter have come true. A lot of the great work on the other side of the ledger, typically libraries really focus on the expense side, and we are still 95% expense focused and 5% revenue focused. But having some revenue things through Mike and his team, through the makerspace, in addition to all the free community services we give us a lot of comfort in the budget. This is where, if we can go and do a Nutcracker show, those funds can make a really big difference. The summer camps that we did for makerspace added $10,000 to the budget. And so those kinds of monies in a library budget are really fun to see. It gives us a lot of flexibility. So efficiency on expenses has been great. Increased revenues, mostly for Mike and the team, have been great. And and then the decreased expense of revenues, fines and fees. The revenues you don't really want to collect. We have been able to be much more flexible and less punitive on those budgets. We have tracked those down from about $45,000. I think we're on track for like $16,000 to $18,000 this year. So we still have them. As we were talking about, Angela and I, right before the meeting, I've contributed my fair share of lost DVD fines to the library. Happy to do it. They still happen, but especially like on the damage, we're just collecting a lot less of those really tough revenues. As we take that picture then, a healthy budget, a staff that's operating really efficiently, we're then looking ahead to the next year. The first one is our collection development and operating cost portions of the budget. 3 years ago, as part of the MGT study, which was a citywide study, we were underspending on collection development in ratio to the size of our budget compared to the national benchmarks. we were at about 7% spent. So 7% towards the collection, 93% towards staffing, building, other operating costs. The national benchmark is 15%. With the budget we proposed this year, we will cross that 15% budget. So over 3 years, we've added a couple $100,000 to our collection budgets. None of that comes with an increased ask of our city council. That is through operational efficiency. And we will be at about $500,000 towards our collection development budget. Yes?
How much of that is for digital?
The largest increases are for digital. We presented on those several times. We still don't have the resolution I would like from the Beehive Library Consortium. That being said, I don't think we're in a position where we want to wait for that group, going back to maybe sometimes my frustrations with committees and subcommittees and approval processes. If we wait for that, it's just going to be too long. So the largest portion is going towards digital, including our CLEF grant, which is not included in that $500,000. That's an additional $18,000 that we were awarded last week through the state library, and 100% of that is going straight to our digital collections. So we will see an increase of, maybe $35,000 towards digital collection this year, which should buy us like 7 books. So we'll see what happens. I am thrilled for this. This is an exciting number. It's sort of it's a quiet number. But over the last 3 years, for us to have been able to accomplish this, it took all 3 divisions. It basically takes every full-time staff saying we're willing to do what we have to do operationally. This is the core service of the library. They've responded really well. It also means we read more books. We are being more efficient with our shelf space. We're not just adding shelf space. We're just saying we're going to be more aggressive about what we put out and what's popular and what goes digital versus physical and what types of collections. But a very fun number, and I think it shows that the core services of the library are still right at the center of our priorities from a budget perspective, staffing perspective, everything like that. This is sort of the order of the collection budget. You were, Christine, maybe you were referring to this a little bit, but it's just more expensive to buy books. DVDs are twice as expensive as they were 4 years ago. I would say publishing costs generally are 30 to 40% increases, and digital online is anywhere from 50 to 150% price increases in the last 5 years. So a lot of the money goes to buy the exact same amount of material, but somebody in New York, Mr. Simon and Mr. Schuster, just get a bigger yacht. Then we look at dupes. How many of the titles we have can we get copies to people faster? That's our dupes, duplicates. Then the breadth of the collections we already have. If we already have this collection, do we have enough? Can we buy more board games? Do we have more of the newest romance novels, etc.? And then finally, we look at new collections. We just announced our Yoto collection, a month ago?
Picked it up a month
That's
ago.
a brand new collection, new hardware, new advertising, new space on the shelf, but those sort of come at the end. So our collection development team, which is basically every associate and librarian and up, has a collection. They sort of work in this order to say this is how we'll take care of it. The other operating costs that each of these we've been able to add about $20,000 to for this upcoming year. Number one is the greenhouse. That will be our seed library and some supplies for the greenhouse. One of our cool community services. Our city horticulturist, Laura Bascom, who has been in the Parks Department for a long time, has agreed to take on the role of lead horticulturist of the greenhouse. And so we're alleviating some of her other parks duties so she can be here. We have the right training and education to deliver what I think will be a top shelf greenhouse program. So she's coming over on Monday to do our initial tour. We're very excited about that. Then our art program, Holly and Nathan are 2 of our librarians, and in addition to their outreach and children's responsibilities, they oversee our art program for the entire city, but the gallery and all of that, and they have some new, as we've introduced and increased that capacity, we need to buy better hanging systems and plinths and pedestals and art supplies to be more appropriate for the gallery. And then our marketing budget. Ruth is on Mike's team and getting the word out, buying new printed materials and banners for the glass right off of the plaza, doing some more targeted social media to make sure that the mission of the library is getting out to our residents. All of that will help those programs. So those are 3 of our largest increases. Again, all of this is self-budgeting. We have been efficient where we need to be so we can expand in these areas without asking for a greater allotment from our general fund. On the staffing and sustainability, we have our merit and hybrid step programs. This is how existing full-time employees get their annual increases. So those have all been funded. We have our part-time staff step increases every 6, 12, and 18 months. Part-time staff can get their increases. Those have all been funded. We have refocused, again, sort of how do you balance that? We continue to build the sustainable model of staffing. Who's at what desks? What hours do we actually need people? How can we take away from this to fund this? I think our level of service continues to expand and increase and improve while also finding some efficiencies there. And then a couple of our other positions that we're looking at right now, library hall coordinators support Mike and their team, and then administrative financial support staff that will balance between the parks, recreation, and library teams, really focused on cash flow and cash handling best practices. So a position that will exist between the teams to help with cash flow. Again, all of those are only being proposed if they are self-funded by the revenues and the efficiencies that we have here. And then our capital improvement projects. These are CIP funds, capital improvement project funds, that are larger than operations. So this is sort of one-time funding to build something or acquire something. The largest one that we've applied for is phase 2 of our library remodel. Phase 1 being the hub and the greenhouse, easily the most disruptive of the phases. And so as I say phase 2, I don't want you to think, are we about to do this for another year? Nancy, no we're not. No we're not, Nancy. Instead, we would find some interior remodel space. Maybe there's a portion of the inside of the library that is blocked off to patrons for a few weeks, but nothing.
Is this real?
Yeah, probably nothing as disruptive as phase 1. But the old acquisition space and the old collection maintenance space would be repurposed for their new space. The Hive being Jaime's patron experience team collective workspace. This is where they would all go to work together. And then downstairs, we're looking at a cafe model, very popular in several libraries that we toured. A partnership with UVU to staff it for their job, post-secondary education job placement for adults with special needs and autism, and a program with them that we've reached out and have had a couple of initial meetings on, and go from there. That won't move forward until we find out if we have the funding this year to do that. So we've engaged Method Studios, the design firm that designed our first phase, and Jaime and I are a couple of meetings in. We've got 4 meetings to go to get our capital working budget to submit as part of the CIP process to see if that's going to happen this fiscal year. The second project is an IT infrastructure project. This library building is 60 years old or 50?
South Wing
Yep.
is 60.
60, and Children's is 30. And so technology needs are greatly exacerbated by an old building, but it needs to be improved. So if you've ever tried to use your cell phone in the basement, it's impossible. And so we would be looking to add 60 data points, access points. We'd have mesh networks so that we could move our computer labs to different spots. We could have full coverage for our patrons that are in the library. Right now our computer lab is in the basement, and you get dual factor authentication on your sent to your phone. So you have to physically walk upstairs to get that, to walk back downstairs, hope you didn't miss your timer. This is an expensive project, but we think really essential for running a library in 2026. The library garden and backyard, I think we've talked about this one, but the lawn out here on First and wrapping around State would be fenced in, only accessible from the door that we have over there that was the temporary entrance, and it functions as the back of the library. We would place as many planting beds in there as we can afford with this CIP request. That would be used to by our horticulture and by our library team to do the program. So we're growing the tomatoes out there so we can come in here and do the project. So we put all the tomato seeds in the Dixie cups and the kids grow them for a week, and then we have a place to plant them. We can make it work on our demonstration gardens. And then finally, the city center wayfinding and pedestrian plan, not funded by the library, but really affects us. There are several budget initiatives to say this entire block from State to 4th and from Center to 1st. We need better wayfinding, signage, parking, bollards and light and pedestrian and city center parking lot lighting. All of that is being considered in this budget year and will greatly benefit us. Matt Taylor is our transportation, but pedestrian transportation planner for the city, and he's all over it. We've had several meetings that we've had a chance to be a part of, and I think will just improve the experience of getting into and out of the library. Those, Matthew, are our library budget priorities. Questions?
I think you mentioned parking. Would we, I mean, I know we added these spaces in here. Are we
Yeah.
talking about maybe doing additional, like if we're doing farmer's market and football and a new library event at the same time, we still have to park at Smith's?
We are adding 81 stalls. We think that will be a wonderful start. We also added a committee last year that reviews every event to avoid the overlaps on those major events. It will still happen in some small degrees, and things like farmer's market, even if it's the only event, you're probably parking at Smith's or the high school and walking over. They did just add the Hawk to cross Center Street, pedestrian friendly. You can now stop traffic with the lights to get across Center Street. So I think we're aware of it. At this point, the only way to add more parking is to either build up, which goes from about $12,000 a parking stall to $70,000 a parking stall, or to take over green space, and that is less popular to pave paradise and put up a parking lot. So as of right now, there's no immediate plans. I think we'll be looking. We did contact and we are working through some shuttle services for the larger events, probably not for Farmers Market, but Orem Fest and Taste of Orem and all that, so we can park off-site and shuttle in. And I think we will just be better at coordinating, not having 4 events all on the same night, because the parks and sports and Farmers Market teams weren't talking the best. So.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, well, let's move on. That's next, what have we got? Strategic plan. Let's do it.
Do you want pictures or do you want me to just talk to you?
I love
Visuals.
pictures.
You like visuals? Okay, I've got some. I don't have some for my team, but I've got one that I can.
Would you like me to drive when you talk, or do you want to talk?
You can drive it like, or I can stand up here and talk.
While she's putting that in, we had our strategic plan presentations. Thank you to those of you that could be there. I've asked each of our division managers to spend 3 minutes sort of talking about some of the highlights of what was presented by our staff to y'all today.
Okay, so patron experience, these are my slides and then I'll just kind of fill you in on some of the highlights from my team. In 2024, before our renovations, when our library still looked like this, this is our strategic plan summary statement. The Orem Public Library will work collaboratively and creatively within well-trained teams to create a more patron-focused experience. Library experience where users have opportunities to engage with resources and programs within the library and throughout the community. So that's kind of the goal of this. Last year, looking back, we highlighted in patron experience to create more patron-focused library experience throughout the community. Very much our goals were related to the fact that we were going to be under renovation. We wanted to make sure that as you came into the library, you weren't confused. As you came through a door we never entered that didn't even exist before the summer, you knew where you were going, you were greeted, you were welcomed in, and made sure that we had a great experience for you while you were here. So we put out the concierge desk. That is a spirit that we're carrying on this year. We're going to start to activate our southern entrance. We're going to have people there. We just have that kind of now ingrained in us, and so hopefully that continues to be the experience. And then throughout the community, we had to take our summer reading program, for example, out to the community literally because we couldn't do it here a lot of the time. And so we're continuing to look at that this next year. So our goals haven't really changed. We're just continuing to roll forward with some of those things. For this year, looking at kind of what's ahead of us, patron experience, we're highlighting this part of the statement, well-trained teams. In 2025, 40% of the patron experience librarians, and that's 51 if you include me, of the staff here at the library, 40% of them are either new, having joined us in 2025, or they took on new roles in 2025. And so we've onboarded, we've hired, and now we're in the process of training. And so my goal, and what I've shared with my librarians and some of their goals from their presentations, was how do we now put this into practice? How do we create these well-trained teams? Identifying our core skill sets, how we train on those things in creative and unique ways that get people prepared to do this. So my team, as they presented their plans, they presented on things like professional development opportunities, improving our training materials, making staff meetings more effective and efficient, cross-training on teams so that we can cover for each other more and more, and just becoming really well versed in the professional librarian world is a big part of it. Those are maybe some of the not as exciting plans for this next year, but it is an important one so that we can turn around and give the best service we can to our patrons. That's where it really comes down to, is that we're doing a lot of internal work so that we can turn around and serve our community. We're doing a lot of team building. They are also looking at fun ways to do this and creating really cohesive, well-run teams. And go on adventures. They're going to embrace their best hobbits and go out the front door and have adventures and go out and see. They're making plans right now, different teams of what they can go and see, new libraries, visit sister libraries, take the best ideas that they see there, bring them back, and see what fits within us with something that we did previously as we geared up for renovations. They're looking at it in terms of services and how they can be the best circulation team, the best reference team. So they have lots of adventures ahead of them, hopefully this year. And then we're using some of our time, the big dreams. They presented, here's some plans, here's some practical plans. And then our big dreams is to activate more of our environs. So we are gearing up to activate our greenhouse with programs and creative activities, our courtyards. We have dreams of putting some better interactives and changing up our perk environs around that collection, making those really creative, fun, interactive spaces to come. You might already notice a couple of changes if you walked through and said, where'd that big table go? We've given it away. We're clearing the decks of what was so that we can bring in some really new fun things. We've talked about dreams of beehives, dreams of story walks in our outside spaces to engage with the kids. Revamping our kids zone, which is starting to show its age and wear and tear as the kids love it to death. And then our south entrance obviously is going to be activated, and that comes with all kinds of new opportunities and challenges and having two entrances instead of one. And then we're looking at non-traditional and traditional programs. My team is planning several things that they've tested out once or twice so far. We're going to roll them out in bigger ways, things like pop-up programs. These are our programming team often has materials left over from the big programs that they do. And to use, instead of just throwing those away or going, we don't know what to do with these, maybe we'll do that program again. They've designed a way to take those materials, give them to the public, engage with them. They have a folding table, they get it out, they do a pop-up program for an hour. If you happen to be in the library and you happen across them, hey, it's your lucky day. You get to engage with our librarians. They get to talk to you about our programs, our collections, the significance of those, and we get to effectively use those materials that don't go to waste. And so they're rolling that out a little bit more this year. And then they are also doing some traditional and non-traditional things like silent book clubs, looking at ways to kind of plants and pages book club that uses our greenhouse, doing some really fun, innovative things with some of the traditional things that we do, kind of shaking some stuff up, giving our patrons a great experience. That is our plans and our dreams, our hopes, our dreams, all the things. Any questions on those? Yeah.
I just have a comment. I spent 3 hours listening to your goals. And I've been an administrator in 3 different library systems. And this one really stands out in the patron focus. It is totally patron focused, very innovative.
Yeah.
And the other thing that stands out is the involvement. Because you can have administrators that have great ideas, and it never gets down to the regular library workers, and you have library workers involved.
I think a key to that is these ideas come from them.
And it really shows. I mean, like, those were the things that really stood out to me with your library, which is great.
Got good people.
I love how excited the community is about the stuff you guys are doing. Like every time I go to register for one of the adult reading program things, it is full every time.
Yeah.
So you guys
We've
are
been
doing awesome.
super pleased because this is the revamp, this is the first time.
Yeah.
And so to see that response and then start to think about how can we grow it and make it more available. Yeah, we murdered hobbits last night, it was grand.
So I'm going to do that every quarter and fill it up every time.
Do you want to clarify what we mean?
That's not enough of an explanation.
I
saw Sharon stop typing, so
Like,
that
what?
knows
I'm not
what.
putting this in the record. So we did a murder mystery last night that was Hobbit themed. And so in the Shire, we had characters, everybody got to sit at a table, read through with their group what was going on. There were stages to the mystery they had to follow, and they got to the final culmination where they got to accuse each other. You, what were some of the bramble took? You killed the person, and then they got a chance to see if they were right or wrong. They had a really, really fun time last night. So we weren't actually
No.
murdering hobbits.
So I get to follow that. What we do in Library Hall, apparently murdering hobbits.
You facilitated.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we enabled it. Yeah, sorry. A joke about current ski conditions, which are different right now. But we talked, so what I focused on for our strategic plan specifically was Library Hall as an arts performance venue kind of action philosophy that we want to start to implement. The typical approach, and this is from experience attending, like I'm part of a class right now by the Western Arts Alliance where we're talking about presenters and presenting venues and their obligations to their communities and how that's kind of like a back and forth and often a very centric or kind of hub element for strong communities, but you're creating dialogues and stuff. But one of the things, it goes through like a typical approach to building like an events calendar, and it can be logistical. A lot of times that's sort of the fallback, like we only have this much space or time or resources, so here's what we got. And that's great to get what you can out of it. We want to take it a step further and be a little bit more deliberate, bring a curatorial approach to it. So including meaningfully designed art experiences that are fiscally responsible, thoughtful curation, not just filling slots, although they can fill slots, right? But they're thoughtfully curated, that's the priority. Engaging in dialogue in a dialogue with the community. And that happens a little bit by, there's a slide later of like engaging your local artists and providing a place to carry out their art, perform or host or present, which we have started to do heavily with the care group. We call them care groups who have applied for and received care funding or grants. But being kind of an active leader in this role too, and investing in the community for the long term, investing in the arts. A lot of people have feelings about that, and it's not something that just suddenly you're like, hey, cool, we're an arts community, right? It doesn't happen overnight. So it's an investment that takes a lot of time, and building a culture and buy-in and reciprocation and dialogue with the community. So doing that, yes, drawing from assessment. Again, responsive, taking feedback, being humble enough to hear what is being said, being humble enough to analyze. No one can be more critical of the events that we do than ourselves. And that is something that we take pride in, but also like it's part of the process, and it can be kind of harsh, but hopefully effective in building a very productive and successful program. Inspired by the works of the artists, so finding quality artists and having a like feeder systems to sort of like get people into the care program early, entry level, and then sort of like maybe step up a little bit to be larger beneficiaries of that program. But yeah, connecting, we find that being a performing arts venue can be a connecting tissue. We're not the artists and we're not the audience, we're like the venue. And like that responsibility is substantial, and so we take that very seriously. But yeah, creating and sustaining ongoing community conversation. And then like this idea of quantitative to qualitative, and it's not quantitative is obviously very important. We look at data and all of our statistics ad nauseum. But taking it to a qualitative, to kind of meet that curatorial approach, we want to make sure that things are quality and that the level is high and that people get what they're investing in, get a good return on their investments here in Orem. Interaction and feedback. Again, this kind of goes back to assessment, and I won't bore you with a lot of that, but we have review processes internally after every program. We call it a GBU, a good, bad, ugly, where we look at the program, the people involved in creating or conceptualizing that, and then the people who were boots on the ground at the events, and we meet shortly after and have those hard conversations. What was good, meaning successful for the attendees, for the staff, and then the bad, which was challenges that the staff faced, and then ugly, challenges that the public faced. And so we address all of those and have the frank conversations to be like, yeah, is it working? And can we improve it? Or do we cut it? What is it, the chop, or I can't remember the thing. But and then just vibe checks. We like to be out and see what's going on. We like to pay attention to the audience at events. What's the problem? We did that a lot with our holiday performances with Nutcracker, in the moment, seeing people, getting our staff tuned into the experience that people are having, making notes, following up later and being like, yeah, that's kind of a weird seating arrangement. I no longer want to charge regular prices for our box seats because those are garbage. It's an obstructed view, so now we're taking that off of the reservation or the ticket buying option, or making it like a heavily discounted, or things like that. But yes, some surveys and feedback from the community, from artists, and that is what I presented on there. My staff, so Matt Kammer is our makerspace librarian. He presented here. I'm going to summarize. He would have done a much better job. Oh, he's got animated graphics. Our makerspace, maker camps, and so we started doing those this last year. He wants to expand those, have monthly workshops, both here at the library hall, as well as offsite at Hillcrest, for example. We've talked about other places, partnerships there. Nice. And then some kind of, very librarian things. We're going to update some call numbering systems, some hold processes, so that it can make the interaction with the patron easier, more efficient. Patrons don't get bogged down with runaround of oh, you don't have a computer to check this out to me right here. I have to go back to this desk to go do. And so working through a lot of those. Reservation calendar for certain things. We have a similar system that Jaime and her team uses for the study rooms. We want to possibly implement that with some of our makerspace items and library of things, and or the services, like the recording studio that's down there, being able to book time in advance to come in and do that. I believe they do. It's just a little bit, what?
It's very pen and paper right now.
Yeah.
Analog.
Yeah, it's we can do better there. So, and then just boosting it, social, making people aware of these things. Volunteers, that kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Nathan, our outreach librarian, he has created a kind of revamped our volunteer and outreach program. And then some grants. Matt's got a couple of grants on his radar that he is looking at to apply for that could help benefit the makerspace. And then some, just internal goals. We want to try and increase circulation by X amount. And how do we do that? What are our stepping stones and ways to accomplish those goals? Ruth Covington does our publicity and a lot of our marketing, social media. So she is going, oh, there's a picture, maybe let's look that one. Ignore the guy there. You've seen the 2 digital screens up there at circulation. Those are new. We are leaning heavily into digital signage as opposed to print A-frames. Because we have them, because they're easier to change out, printing costs and all of that, it's very expensive, it's slower, and you can accomplish more with like whatever, a bajillion slides on a digital sign as opposed to a single panel on an A-frame. So exploring ways to make those more effective. We've got banners that we are looking at out on the glass that face the plaza for programs and events. Our season calendar of big concerts and events. Library brochure and how we publicize our season calendar. We've benefited by partnering with the rec center and their activity guide that they mail out to Orem households. Getting real estate in there has been huge, and so to get that, to capitalize on that earlier, it requires us to plan further in advance, and then because we have to build out like all of our ticketing portals, have our contracts with artists all in place before that even, gets printed and mailed. And so planning 12 months, 18 months in advance is one of our goals, but has helped us a ton. Digital signs, social media, thank you for filling out the form, that's a joke. Nathan, outreach. He continues to work with local groups, city departments. UVU, he has a partnership with that has recruited some of our volunteers that work in our art gallery space as docents and helps to like reset some of our exhibits, and that's been super helpful. Giving them kind of internship opportunities where they're art students, it helps to satisfy some of the requirements in their program, and then also provides some support and help for us. Other city departments we love to partner with, listed there. Orem Business Alliance, big one that we get a lot of benefit from directly. But yeah, I forget the name of the organization now. There's another community group that he has volunteered. Dang it, I thought he had it on here. Was it Easter Seals? No. Better. Sorry. Anyway, I forget the name. It's not on the slide, I don't think. But yes, a robust, I will say, pool of volunteers to help with that, and then also helping with like ushering at big events and other setup needs. We did have, kind of speaking a little bit to that, we had created kind of an informal internship program with Orem High School, where we have recruited some of my tech team who does audio and lights for our events that we started out early as like volunteers, giving them, so they graduate high school and are looking at this as a potential profession, and so they need post-high school experience. Now we can provide them professional experience, train them up with kind of like the city of Orem's expectations with other professionals and give them that, and then a pipeline to, we've hired 2 now from OHS and have another one right now who is going to be starting her volunteer experience soon. So extending that out to other schools to just create a cool integration with the community and provide opportunities there. So.
I've got a question. Maybe I'm the only one here that doesn't know. But
Yes.
Library Hall, do you charge? How does that financially work?
We do sometimes, for tickets you mean?
No,
For-
I mean, suppose a band has 20 people, they want to put on a concert, and they come to you.
Right, so we have a couple of different things, like our first priority is library programs and events. And so we start planning those. Jaime's team helps to program those.
Right.
We do our events which also lean into like the paid ticketed performances. And we build that calendar. That's something where we curate
Okay.
that season, essentially. Then we have, obviously city events and other department events that happen here. And then there are kind of open rentals.
Care groups too.
Care groups, yes. That I kind of fold into like the city events and our events, because we've taken care groups who were previously just like, oh, we're just a group in the community, we applied, we got a grant, and then good luck doing your thing. Now we provide them a place to play or to perform or present, right? And so then after some of those, we establish a relationship or partnership. And like Nutcracker, like our contemporary dance show last fall, Ink and Bone with Wasatch Contemporary, some of these groups started out like that, and they have elevated and proven that like they are like they're a
They draw a crowd.
legit, yeah,
They draw a crowd.
they are
Okay,
a
gotcha.
paid ticket worthy performing group,
Yeah.
or they did that previously, but the burden was on them to kind of make that pencil out. And now we, as a partnership, can we benefit because we're providing a cool space in Orem. A lot of times they jump ship and go to, American Fork or Lehigh or something because it was cheaper. Now we can do that. The other groups, like you mentioned, that don't fall into those categories, that would be what we'd call an outside rental. And we have rental rates just and provide support there. To those groups too.
Okay.
Did that?
Yeah, so you have
Answer.
priorities on who
Yeah.
gets, okay. Maybe come out of work.
Yeah. Great question.
I plugged in my laptop to show you Shannon's, and then it died.
Oh, no.
They have copies.
They have got, wonderful. You can see their team as well, their top goals there, and then they have the 3 goals. The movie call number is probably the one I'm most excited about. The browsability of our movie collection will skyrocket. That includes 2 moves from the shelving team. Kids Zone and Very Young will be moved upstairs and again be made free. So that is that's an inexpensive revenue that will go away. So we're excited about that one. The new online portals, and I can't remember what the middle one was. It's got
Book sale, yeah.
That's an event. I don't know if we might have missed on the mark on that one. We thought we really liked it. I love Provo's. Feedback's been mixed, so we're either going to fix it or do something totally different. And so that's definitely one that is still in the TBD. We're at 7:02. I had hoped to hear from y'all today, though. This is what our staff came up with, and some of y'all, again, heard the 3-hour version. Some of y'all heard the 15-minute version here. What are you not seeing that you think our staff and us as your team need to be looking at as you think about your relationship with the library or with a library? Are there things that we are missing here, or things that you love that you want to see us do more of? We want to make sure that our strategic goals are your strategic goals, and so I'd love to open it up for a few minutes to hear from y'all on things that we need to be doing.
My notes seem to be summarized as pay attention to how the money's being spent so that it stays close to home. Focus on the experience of the user, which is the member of the city. And that's done through a curatorial approach, which is a word I like. And I like that. I think you're in the right direction, right? I mean, a lot of these, and I've come from the education world, and I know everywhere you go, but there's certain keywords that you use in every presentation, and it just sounds right. It's like the important words, but the idea of collaboration, and I saw that I see it all the time in school, and I'm like, collaboration, another keyword that everyone has to use. But yet you have a structure that you're adjusting that's going to require you to collaborate. It's going to require coordination because you have a library, but you also have experiences, right? This is like the parks and experience, but then there's library, which is a traditional. I mean, I've been to a lot of libraries where you walk in and it's quiet and it feels like it's a dead space. I don't feel that way when I walk in the library here. I feel like it's alive. So I think you're on the right track. I feel that I'm excited to be part of it. So that's what I wrote down. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's great. Other thoughts? guess I would hope as we're going through the year, I hope you don't wait for next year's, if y'all have these thoughts, and I also think one of my favorite parts of the presentation is some of them are these tiny little baby ideas, and it affects like a really small part, but it's like, what a good thing, and then others are like, we want to improve the experience, you know, with collaboration and synergy and every other required presentation word. And those are good too, but I would hope you're not like holding back like, oh, in Maker we have this paper analog system to check things out. I'd really love if we can go a Google Doc. Like what a good piece of feedback, and so I just hope y'all are sharing those with us as they come to you, and we can then take it to the staff, we can build them into our strategic plan. So please share now, please share throughout the year, please just make sure you're telling us what to do. Please advise us. So.
I think you're doing just a lot of really good things. Personally, I love changing the movie call numbers. Yes.
That's how we felt.
I just think there's those things that just really, can I find it? Yes, but always is much better. So, thanks.
I think Shannon did a nice job of explaining it's such a simple and obvious fix. It is a mountain of work. And so
I can imagine.
this will be hundreds of staff hours. It will take months to do, and they'll move chunk by chunk. But I think the goal is a year from now, they will have never known that we used to just assign it a random number and say good luck. So I think this is a big win.
I think she broke it down and said that the timeline, they will have to do like 600 per day.
Per week. Per week.
Per week, okay, yes.
Yeah, 600 a
Per
day.
That doesn't sound right. Per week even is
Then no one goes home.
substantial.
Right.
Still a lot.
To get that done or accomplished in the timeline that they want to, so it's a big project.
That's something we could potentially utilize volunteers for.
Yes, we
Floated
talked
that.
specifically about that, and ways that we can, because they will have to phase it in, right? Because they're not gonna just shut media down for whatever, a year, while they do it. And so they'll take one collection at a time, you know, one genre or area, kind of work through that. And so yes, there's a lot of like physical moving of stuff. And so we're looking at trying to be efficient there and recurse to people.
Matthew, could I just share a couple of ideas?
Yes.
I've got to meet many of you, but maybe not all of you. I'm excited to get to know each of you individually. A couple of things to think about in my experience that high-performing citizen commissions do. And it's going to take a little while, I think, to negotiate what the right space to do that is. But I would really love throughout the year for you to think about what contribution would you like to make that might be useful to our broader staff. I mean, the staff do this full time. As you can tell, they're extremely competent. It's very easy for them to just tell you all kinds of amazing things that are happening. And I'm really grateful for all those things that are happening. I think the role of a citizen commission is to build something together in collaboration with the staff, in collaboration with people that are here, that wouldn't happen without you. And so just between now and our next meeting, I invite you to think a little bit, and maybe we can put it on the agenda on our next meeting. Just what are your goals for the year? Where do you feel like this collection of people has unique insight or creativity or ways that you can contribute in a meaningful way to making this entire ecosystem just a little bit richer, a little bit more creative, providing some insight that comes from other libraries. We talked about that at one point, right? That, I encourage you everywhere you go to go to the library and take notes on the coolest things that you experience or see there, and start to bring those back. So Bryce, and I think it's extremely genuine, issued a really nice invitation to say, we just want your ideas, we want your feedback constantly. And I hope that we think a little bit more strategically about what is the nature of your contribution that you would like to make, rather than just one-off ideas that that you pass on. And so perhaps thinking of 3 things over the course of 2026 that you as a library commission want to prioritize in a way that would be beneficial for you all, but would also bring out the best of you and your creativity and your talent to share things that otherwise we wouldn't get. Those are my ideas.
Just on a little follow-up, last time you talked about, you pitched the idea of the library being something that celebrates words, beautiful words. And I've thought a lot about that, like what are beautiful words? And I don't know that I couldn't articulate any. But I thought where you start is the words that the community would want to be part of, maybe challenge, kindness, exploration, inspiration. So there's just words where I would start and say, what are those things that would make me feel those ways, right? What would our library want to have somebody walk in? I don't mean to be negative, but due to experiences with heavy-handed administrative policies in the school system, literacy sometimes becomes a bad word. And it's not their intent, it's their intent to expand literacy, but the methods they've chosen cause staff and students to hate the word. And it's unfortunate, but it's something that Orem High School has been really trying to figure out a way to make an organic growth with kids wanting to, no matter what background they enter the school, enter a culture that celebrates literacy. And so I've thought about that, expanding the idea where you're like, what are the beautiful words? Like, what is something that this community can be, when someone comes in and whatever experience or background or how long they're in town or whatever, they would feel that we celebrate those things through literacy, through words. So I don't know what that looks like, but I've thought a lot about it. And I'm not sure what it looks like, but in my head, I think that's one of my goals right now. So. Okay, anybody else have thoughts?
I'm so excited, guys. This looks like so much fun.
One thing that I might add, just as you're continuing to think about goals and going forward and what you want to do, one thing that can really help us, strategic plans are about at least in part, it's dreaming big, but it's also how do we meet the community's needs as a service. And so you all come from different parts of the community and with different jobs and different backgrounds and things like that. So as you're out in the community, if you are coming across a need and you see it and you think the library could help here, those are pieces of information that are great to get in terms of feedback, so that our teams can work with you to say, okay, let's try and address that, see if we can.
You have a construction update, but is this separate from what you talked about previously?
I shared several dates with Sharon, and I can have her send those out, but just some dates upcoming, when the fences will move, our concrete stairs will be complete. We're targeting our the second week of April City Council meeting as the grand opening of the plaza and all of that. And so as we have those dates, we can share them out with y'all. But really, we're down to the last 3 or 4 items on our project, and it's just when the contractors communicate to us, those will happen, many of them weather dependent.
Okay. The weather's been good for that stuff. Not good for your ski report. Upcoming events?
There is a handout that I think each of y'all have. It's got a couple pages worth of upcoming events. We would love y'all to feel invited to be there, and again, to weigh in, to attend, to get involved. If you have ideas seeing that, please let us know. And I think this will just be a recurring agenda item moving forward on the meetings, where we can share some of the upcoming highlights with y'all.
Okay, and does anybody else have anything to bring up to the board today to discuss? Okay, well, thank you so much, and at this point, do I call for something?
A motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I motion we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second.
There we go. And this meeting is adjourned, or I call for a vote?
All
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
There we have it. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for coming on a Wednesday. Thanks for the reschedule.
And always sign up for the